Hi, my name is Vandad Nahavandipur, and I am the author of O'Reilly's iOS 4 Programming Cookbook, and this is the second video in the series of videos that I'm preparing for you, teaching you how to use logging inside your applications, inside your iOS applications, to make debugging much easier for yourself and the teammates who work on the same application with you. If you haven't watched the first video that I've prepared for you, I strongly suggest that you do that first and then come to this video, because in the first video we talked about the fundamentals of logging, things like nslog and returning a string in the description instance method of an object in order to pass a string to the nslog method. So if you haven't watched that video, please just go ahead and watch it. I'll put a link right up here, so please click on this link. If you're watching this video on a mobile device like an iPhone or an iPad, you're not going to be able to click on anything, so you need to find that video yourself. In this video, I want to tell you about a couple of really nice tricks that you can perform while using nslog. One of the things that makes debugging a lot easier than logging for people is that at any instance they can find out which method inside which class is printing out what or is causing what issue. However, when you're doing nslog, let's go ahead here and I'll put an nslog here. My program is printing this out. And if I run the application, okay, if I run the application, you can just see that there's a string getting printed here, there's a date here, and there's a name of my application. I mean, these are well, useful information, especially the timestamp here. However, it's not very useful if you're creating an application that is made out of dozens of classes. It's got 6-7 people working on the same source code. You just get lost, because if you really want to find out, okay, let's say my application crashes after this line. Let's say the application crashes. Let's just simulate something like that, shall we? Okay. Okay, I'll just say NS number with integer 10. I'll create a method here. Let's say I am one of the team players. Sorry, I'm one of the teammates. Void get length of string. Okay, and I say length. Alright, I got this string and I print it out. Alright, and okay, let's say I'm one of the people who's working on a source code. I create a method here, and it doesn't really return anything, but just prints out the length of a string that is getting passed to it. Now, one of the other people who's working on the same source code just goes ahead and wants to test my method and passes it a number, but typecasts it to string. So the compiler really doesn't come up with any type of error. Now let's go ahead and see what happens. There you go. The application crashed. So I go to the logs and I look and I say, okay, my program is printing this out. Then the length method got called on an NS number. So to be able to find what this crash is, I'll just go ahead and copy this string, and I will go and try to find it inside the application. If I try to find it here, I'm getting no, okay, because I'm searching in the frameworks. I'll just say in the project and the framework. So as soon as I find the string, I just double click here, and then I find the place where this string got printed out to the console. But most of the times this is a very time consuming thing, and what you really want is more informative descriptions getting printed to the console screen. So one of the most important things you really need is to know which method inside which class is printing the strings. And there's a really handy handy kind of like a expression or a directive, I can actually call it. There's a directive that you can call in Objective-C, which is _CMD, and what this does is it tells you which method you are in at the moment. So let's just go ahead and add this here. And this is, by the way, a selector. What this returns is a selector. So I say selector, this method as selector. I'll typecast this to NSString. This method as string. You can use a function called NSString from selector as selector. So I typecast the current method's name to a string, and I'll print it out here. I'll say current method is equal to, and then I'll say message is equal to. Great, okay. We pass parameters now. So the first parameter that we have to pass is an object, or let's say just a string, and it should be the current method. I'll say this method as a string, and then I'll say this is my message. And I'll get rid of these, and I'll get rid of this method here. Let's run the application and see what happens. Clear the logs, build and run. And there we go. Now what my log is saying, it says it's in the current method, application did finish launching with options. Message is equal to, this is my message. Perfect. So now I know just by looking at the logs, the message and where it got printed. But there's one piece of information missing. And this is going to be the last thing I will tell you in this video before we proceed to other more advanced things. There's another thing missing here, and that is the class. What class is this method implemented in? We don't have that yet. So what we can do is use this method, NSString from class, and say self class. So we get the current class, current objects class converted to string, and I'll put it up here, this class as string, and I'll put it here, current class and current method and the message, and I'll put it here. I'll say this class as string. Let's run the application. All right, there we go. It says current class is logging app delegate. Current method is application that finished launching with options, and the message is this. So anybody looking at just by simply looking at the console can just say, oh, all right, okay, there's a message getting printed out in this method in this class. If something crashes after this, they can simply just go straight to this class and go straight to this method and find out what is happening after this message gets printed to the console. I hope you enjoyed this video. In other videos that I'm going to be making after this, we're going to talk about more advanced things. So in the first video, we talked about NSLog. We talked about how we can print out primitive data types, for example, just like integers and the unsigned integers and strings. We talked about the description instance method of an object that can return a string, and NSLog basically uses that string to print out information about that object. And in this video, we talked about CMD _CMD, and we talked about getting the name of the current class as a string. If you have any questions, please do let me know. You can just leave your questions in the box below, and I'll do my best answering those questions, and I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Thanks.